Dragon Ball is... oh my god. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball. Where do I start with Dragon Ball, really? I guess I'll start with saying that Dragon Ball Super Broly is the latest movie to come out of the Dragon Ball franchise. Dragon Ball is a franchise that holds very near and dear to me. I love this franchise. There's a lot of really schlocky things about Dragon Ball that make it both really fucking awesome, but also kind of really shitty as well. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that this obscure anime was like my first exposure to the art form. No, Dragon Ball Z on Toonami was definitely my first exposure to anime. When I watched that shit as a kid, I was always fucking hyped. I loved that shit. I ate that shit up for breakfast. Dragon Ball is also in a really interesting spot because although I haven't really been keeping up with Super since the end of the Golden Frieza saga, I have been keeping up with it from a distance, and I do know that its run is coming to an end very soon. Before I really start to get into this movie, if you're watching this and you don't give a shit about Dragon Ball, or you have very little knowledge of the Dragon Ball series and you want to go see this movie, you're not gonna fucking like this. Here's a trophy for you. This trophy reads, "Congratulations, you played yourself." This movie is definitely made for people who have been following Dragon Ball for the majority of their lives. But even as a Dragon Ball fan, I do acknowledge that this movie has just fundamental issues with it as well. I think that the movie starts off really slow. This movie spends the majority of its first act on Planet Vegeta and trying to establish Broly as a character and Paragus as a character and reintroduce those characters into the canon, into the main timeline of Dragon Ball, also reintroducing a younger Frieza, reintroducing like his little squad with the Ginyu Force and Zarbon and Dodoria, and King Vegeta as well, and Bardock. I think the first act where they're on Planet Vegeta in this movie, it could have been handled a little bit better. I would have personally preferred that they would have just focused the whole movie on the annihilation of Planet Vegeta rather than just tack it on to this Broly movie. I understand why they did that, but I think that that story is interesting enough to hold its own movie. Another issue is that I think that the CG animation in this movie kind of clashes really, really poorly with the hand-drawn animation. Hand-drawn animation in this movie, I'll get into that. I don't want to say it's bad, the CGI. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen, but once it's placed next to hand-drawn animation, the traditional Dragon Ball animation, it's very noticeable and it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. And this final issue that I have is a bit more just like my own personal taste, and it's an issue that I have with Dragon Ball just generally. Side characters, why don't you use the side characters? Like, I get it, Goku and Vegeta are the big money makers of the franchise, but there are so many fucking cool characters in Dragon Ball that they don't use in this movie that it just really makes me really frustrated, you know? You get a total of like 3 minutes of Piccolo, you get a minute of like Trunks and Goten. Beerus is just there to be like, "Hey Beerus, you want to be in the movie?" "Hey, I'm Beerus." "No, I don't want to be in the movie." There is no sign of Gohan. Where is Gohan in this movie? There's no Krillin, there's no Ten Shinhan. I mean, of course there's not going to be any Yamcha. No one cares about Yamcha. I actually kind of like Yamcha, but whatever. No Android 18, no Majin Buu. None of those characters. It's mostly just a Saiyan-centered story, which I do like. I just wish that the side characters are used in a more effective way. And now, transitioning into the stuff that I actually do like about the movie, I have to say, this movie surprised the hell out of me because this movie is fucking fun as shit. But this movie really expands upon the Dragon Ball world even more than I thought it could possibly be expanded upon. With Broly, actually. It starts with Broly. This movie is less of an actual movie centered around like Goku and Vegeta, so to have a movie actually centered around a brand new character in a way, it's really interesting and it provides a breath of fresh air that this franchise kind of needs, I think. It just changes up the formula of Dragon Ball a bit, in my opinion at least. Thank God Broly is good in this movie. Thank God that he is an actual character in this movie. Broly in this movie is very tragic, but he's very powerful, and in a way he's also kind of adorable in a very like naive and innocent way when he's not screaming at the top of his lungs trying to murder everything that he sees. He's kind of sweet. This is the fourth movie centered around Broly, and a lot of Dragon Ball fans can agree that Broly is one of the more underwhelming parts of the franchise. And Broly originally was kind of just an amalgamation of what every basic person thinks Dragon Ball Z is. It's just big buff dudes punching each other and shoving their fists up their butts and blasting Kamehameha waves through their penises. Sure, some of it is that, but not all of it is that. The reason why Dragon Ball resonates with so many people is because the characters in this franchise are so likable, they're so fun, and they're very relatable in a lot of ways too, despite how powerful they can be. And thank God that Broly is the same way. The two other characters whose names I don't really remember actually, they're also really good. They play off of Broly very well. I just really love how Akira Toriyama and the makers of this movie rebooted Broly and just redid his whole character, redid his origin in a way. There are a lot of really great fan service moments in this movie as well. Again, this movie is not for the average moviegoer. Whether that be to this movie's detriment or not, I don't really care. There are a lot of great character moments in this movie. There are a lot of great comedic moments. I would say I love the fight scenes in this movie, but there really is only one fight scene in this movie, really, which is that Broly versus Vegeta and Goku, which is a fantastic fight scene and is basically the whole third act of the movie. I'm not going to go as far as to say this movie is like changing the fucking game, but in regards to the grand scheme of just the Dragon Ball franchise, this movie opens up a lot of doors, and this movie is very ambitious as well for the Dragon Ball franchise. This movie adds even more character depth to people who we're familiar with Goku, Vegeta, Frieza. With the success of Broly, I'm very interested to see the creators of Dragon Ball, to see where they want to take the franchise in. Even though I know that Super's run is coming to an end, they can still continue these stories with these movies, and it seems like they intend to do that. But again, I'm just interested to see where they take it, whether that be continuing the story of Broly and making his own, like, Dragon Ball saga with just the movies, or making a movie just centered around the different characters of Dragon Ball, whether that be a movie that is only just Gohan and Piccolo, or maybe just a movie with only the humans, or a movie that reintroduces old characters into this main timeline that were not canonized and were a part of previous movies, like, say, I don't know, like BoJack. With the success of Broly, they could definitely reintroduce BoJack into this franchise and make him a part of the main timeline somehow. It's just really interesting, and I'm very curious as to where this franchise is gonna go. And I'm excited. I really am. I don't want it to seem like I'm slurping on Dragon Ball's balls. I'm really excited for the future of Dragon Ball, and I really want to see where they take it with these movies, and I want to continue on with the Dragon Ball Super story now. And I'm feeling an 8.5 out of 10 for Dragon Ball Super Broly. Thank you guys for watching, as always. Make sure you subscribe to keep yourselves updated with more content. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed what you saw. Leave a comment on your thoughts of the movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What's your favorite Dragon Ball moment? What's your favorite Dragon Ball character? What's your favorite Dragon Ball movie? Who's your favorite Dragon Ball character? I said that already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Get it? Because I'm gonna instant transmission out of here, like what Goku does.